So what do we have here? We have items. Uh, just what we did last week. Um, there's something I want to say though. I won't be talking about how to center everything here. Yeah, if you're just coming in, please mute. Please mute. We want to be like very very quick. I think by 9 o'clock we should be done. So if you're just coming in, just mute. It's fine. All right. This is also being recorded. So just for others who may not be able to join these random sessions. Okay. All right, so for most of you, you already have this done. So what we want to do today is we want to center items, but I'll try to be quick. So let me do something. I'm going to go to my code, all right, and then I'm going to center this p tag, right? This p tag we learn by doing. So I'll just target the p tag and I'll say, please, can you please mute, please, 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 guys, please, let's mute ourselves, please. All right, so I'm going to target the p tag and I'm going to center it, with the whole text align center stuff because it's text. So I'll come here and I'll say, I don't know. I don't want individuals who are going to watch this video to get tired of the video because of too much interruptions. So guys, if you just join, just mute yourself, please. All right, so again, I'm going to say text align center and all the p tags here on this document ordinarily would be centralized. So this is a p tag, so it's centered on the page. This is also centered, they're all p tags. So if you go to our index, you see them. You will have the p tag we learn by doing, and we also have p tags here, these two. So that's why. So if you add every other thing, every other item, maybe the span or the li or whatever, they're also going to be centered on the page. But this IMG, how do we center it? I felt like you may have issues with this. That is why I decided to have this call, brief call. So centering images are kind of tricky. They are tricky because images are spans. So um it will be very it can be a bit difficult to explain, but it's actually simple. So let me take off to explain, let me take off something. Sorry, I will be accepting people in. So let me take off this guy, right? This p tag. I'm taking it off, and everything comes back to how it was. Now there's something I can do here. I can say margin zero auto, and let's see, margin zero auto. Oh, sorry, not the p tag. Oh, I'm sorry about that. No, not the p tag. Let's go back to what was there before. All right, this text align center. Uh, Again, if you're just joining in, you can mute yourself. That would be appreciated. So there was something I wanted to show you guys before. Um, Spans, like we learned previously, spans do not take up the full width of a page. So, for instance, I'm hovering over this image, and from the selection, you would know where it ends. From the selection. So this is where it ends. Where the image ends is where this ends. And if we have another span beside it or after it, it will start somewhere here. So that's different from a div. Like this is a div now, and it spans across the page. P tag, same thing. If I go to p tag, this is a p tag, it also spans across the page. But this does not do like that. It does not work like that, the image. Yeah, and had it been we had a span element or a button, for instance, this is a button. These are our buttons. So look at the first button, look at where it ends. The second button, look at where it ends. So if we had more buttons, they will still be side by side. They don't span across the page, they are inline. So that's that that brings about a problem. And the problem is that you can't really center stuff. because it's not taking the whole full width. So, what I mean is the image ends here. So, how do you center it? Because it's not taking the whole width. Had it been it was taking the whole full width, then it would have been easy to place it somewhere in the middle, itself. But that will not work. That will not work because this is where it ends. So, even if you add any centering here, it still ends here. Everything is still happening here, not the full width of the page. Yeah, so that's the problem again. So how do we solve that? So like we said, an image is a an image is what's it called? Is an inline element. So we can change elements by using the display type. So we can just come here and say, I want to change your display to a block, right? So now we've changed the display of the image from an inline element to a block. And if I hover over the image now, let me scroll up a little. You see the image? Yeah. So the image is now taking the whole width. It's no longer a span. It's not taking the whole width. And of course, the image itself ends somewhere here. But the margins is showing you that there's still margin taking the whole remaining width. Yeah. So that's what's happening there. So the image ends somewhere here, and then the margins is still taking the whole full width. So now we have enough room to work with now. So let's come here and let's try something else. Let's say text align center. Let's see if it work. And that did not work. It did not work. Why? Because it's not text. But there is something funny about this. There is something funny about this. There's a way CSS works. For let's check our HTML. Our HTML comes with this is the image tag, and this image tag I wrapped it inside a div. So this is a div, the opening div and the closing div, and I gave this div a class of img div. Right now, let's take everything here off. Right now, let's target the img div. For those who have not watched the video on CSS, this may be a bit strange, but it's simple. Trust me. Now, this img div, I'm going to say text align center. Let's see what happens. See, it works. So, even though this image is not a text per se, but it would work. So once you place an image, you wrap it inside a div, you give the div a class, and then the div itself, you say text align center. The image inside the div is going to inherit that centering and center the image. So all I did here basically is just this is the image. I wrapped it inside a div, opening and closing div, and then this opening and closing div, I gave it an attribute of text align center. Ordinarily that is for text, but it also works with images. So what? But not directly on the image. You have to wrap the image in a div. So the div that wraps around the image, you give it text align of center, and the image itself will be centralized. It's crazy, but it works. So that's one way of centering text images. I'm going to take this off and let's go back to how it was before. Now let's go back to what we were trying to do before. So we turned the image um from a display of the default display of inline to block. So change the display to block. Sorry, I will just be accepting people. I don't know. All right, so we change the display to block. Nothing changes here. It's still here, but now it now spans the whole page. It now spans the whole page, and it's even though the image itself ends here, it has margins here. So what you are going to do now is you are going to say from the left to the right, I want to add a margin of auto. So what auto does is it calculates from the left and then calculates from the right and then give Then place the item. The item itself has its own width, so it will just place the item in the middle and then calculate what space is left to the left. It will give that space, and what space is left in the right to give that space. So I'm just going to say margin 0 auto. Now we have margins are four sides. We have margin top, we have margin left, margin right, margin bottom. But when you do this shorthand, you are saying the first one you write is for up and down, top and bottom, while the next one you write is for left and right. So let's check what we have. Yeah, so it has centered everything. So what it did is the top and the bottom of this image, there was nothing was added because we did it zero, so it's zero. But to the left, it calculated the space from the image width to the left. It calculated it, and then for the right, it calculated it also, and then placed the item on the middle. This whole thing, if I were to comment this out, and then I would, if I had said margin left auto, and then said margin right auto, and checked my site, it's still the same thing. But of course, I mean, you should be able to like understand how to make use of shortcuts because they will help you. So again, this zero here just stands for you are targeting the four of them, the four top, bottom, left, and right. You're targeting everything. So you're just saying top and bottom zero. Then the next one stands for left and right auto, and that would center everything. So that is how basically um you center images. I think the only thing I want to say now is concerning your buttons, and I'll be really, really quick. So your buttons, you can do the same thing. The only thing is that there are two items, not just one. So wrap the two items inside a div, and then using these skills you just learned, center that div, center the div here. So wrap two items into it inside the div. Now that div itself, you can do the margin zero auto, and it will center stuff how you want it. So that's that about that. I want to do one final way of centering images, and I would be using um an advanced um an advanced method which you would learn very, very soon, which is flex. So if you check our image again, this is our image, and there is a div that it is wrapped inside. So this div it has a class of img div, right? It has an opening div and a closing. This is the closing div, opening tag and closing tag of the div. Yeah. So using flex, what I'll just do is I'll change the display of this to flex. Previously the display is actually block because divs are block elements. But just like we did with the image, we can change how it works, how that works. So I'll say display of flex. Please, if you're just joining, can you mute yourself? Please, please mute yourself. I'm begging. So you change the display to flex, and then you do two things. You say justify item. Mind you, let's go back to what we have. Nothing changed here. Even as we changed it to flex, nothing changed. So you're just going to say justify content center. That's all you have to do. So once you say justify content center, it's going to take whatever is inside that container and center it. So it's going to take everything inside that container and center it. So that's how flex works. You can try to experiment with this assignment, but I don't think you should. I think you should just go um use other methods in centering stuff on your site so you really understand what's going on with flex. But again, it's not so difficult. It's really straightforward. Yeah. So that's the third. I think this is the third way. Yeah, this is the third way. Let me try something else. Now the image, I'm going to change the display of the image. Okay, so this is the image. I'm going to change the display to block, and then I'm going to try that margin zero too. Let me see if it will work. It should work anyway. I mean, yeah, yeah. I think we've tried this method before, right? I can't even remember again. I think we've already done that. So I mean, so that's how. Yeah, we have. Okay, okay. So that's how you center um an image. These are like three different ways of centering images. I would like to stop sharing